It was fundamentally important to hear from a wide diversity of countries in order to be able to situate the Istanbul Principles, because the Istanbul Principles was meant to be a chapeau on top of all of that diversity. And so unless you hear and listen to the diversity, it's very difficult to craft a chapeau that people are going to recognize themselves within it.
From Latin America, I am very proud of the gender consultation in the region. I mean, we were able to do a great job, but especially to really also put the issue in the agenda of the Open Forum in Latin America. Right now, for us, for men and women involved in the Open Forum, it's clear that this is a common responsibility of all of us. And if we haven't achieved enough in terms of effectiveness for women, development effectiveness for women, is because we all have to do a lot more work.
¿Cuáles son los elementos que agregan las consultas nacionales desde América Latina a los principios de Estambul? Creo que hay un elemento nuevo, importante, y es la reivindicación de las organizaciones de la sociedad civil como actores de desarrollo, pero también como actores de los procesos de democratización. Es decir, las organizaciones de la sociedad civil somos actores sociales, pero también actores políticos, no partidarios, en el sentido de que no vamos a presentarnos a elecciones para que nos elijan o cosas por el estilo, pero si actuamos en el espacio público, en la construcción de políticas públicas, en el seguimiento y en la evaluación de políticas gubernamentales y en la discusión de agendas generales de la sociedad. Es decir, somos un actor político, cumplimos tareas específicamente políticas y eso es también un valor agregado que tienen estas organizaciones de la sociedad civil latinoamericana.
What makes them special is, what makes the Istanbul Principles special is the fact that the CSOs around the world have decided to look at the future like one man, and they are trying to define what they think should be the basis for which they should measure their efficiency, and not others doing it for them. So it is special because many CSOs around the world are converging in ideas, and it makes it really worthwhile measuring one's own stand. It's just like a CSO World Cup.
What makes the Istanbul Principles different is, first of all, the fact that it was a process that came right up from the bottom, if you will. It was begun in national consultations where CSOs from all over the countries, all over the particular country, were engaged in discussion and deliberation about what principles they believed in as civil society. So in each country, this process was starting from the base.
The language is not particularly confronting or new in many instances, but what it is representative of thousands of voices bubbling up to a single and relatively concise suite. So it's not that any one of them stands out or is immaculately worded or is necessarily better than the same thing that's been said before by someone else, but it is bringing them all together and getting a global consensus on these things. That's the real strength.
There are a lot of individual initiatives in terms of being accountable from civil society organizations' perspective, but what we understood and what came out through the consultants and the regional consultations was the need for a collective strategy on accountability.
For instance, the principle of ownership of programs and projects, and participation of the people, the communities, the people who are in the program area or project area. That must, looking at the consultations, that must have been influenced by the African continent. This is because enough times we are implementing programs, and most of the programs are rooted in ideas that came with the donor. And so the people's agenda is not in most of the programs, and that is something that people said. They've been writing proposals, and those proposals with people's ideas are rejected, and another idea is brought in. And so that is something that Africa wanted to pass. But also the external factors, how civil society themselves relate, that was a big issue all over Africa. They said there's a lot of competition which is driven by resources from the same donor, and so they don't have a platform where they exchange ideas as buddies, as friends. They exchange ideas as competitors. So you're hiding something, I'm hiding something from you. There's no mutual learning.
I suppose Asia is also one region where context is very much important in the work that we do. So it's not just about, of course, looking inside our own practice is important, but I think the context, because we confront a lot of issues, social rights, human rights, issues of exclusion, issues of marginalization, and that really tells a lot about the environment with which we Asian CSOs find ourselves in. So I guess principle 1 is very big and huge for us, as well as enabling environment.
I think even when we met at the African consultation, our role was to look at the gender equality and women's rights, because Women for Change is a gender-based organization. But then we thought gender on its own, we can't move much. We need to integrate also the other principles of democracy, of mutual learning. I think all the other principles apply to the gender one, just as also gender applies to the other principles: human rights, democracy, mutual learning, and the exchange of ideas, enabling environment, sustainable development. All those, you need gender. So I think it's a two-way thing.
Two things that are very close to CCC as an institution is our commitment to governance. And by governance, we mean internal governance of NGOs in Cambodia. As you may know, CCC is a home of a self-certification system and also the initiator of the Code of Conduct for Civil Society in Cambodia. We are the vanguard on accountability, and we feel that this is an issue that is closely related to the Istanbul Principle, and it's something that we must do. And for us, it's not a matter of getting certified or getting people to get this certified to get money. It's not a visa to get money, but it's a change of mindset. It's a mass behavioral change for civil society. We cannot go out and preach about accountability, about good governance, when we don't even apply it to ourselves.
Oh, well, I am proud of two things. The first one is, as I was saying at the beginning, to be able to see now that the fifth principle, being a civil society organization being accountable, is really in the core of the discussions, in the core of the debate. This is a very difficult issue. It's not as simple as everybody thinks it is. And I am very proud to see that with our inputs, the issue is in the agenda, in the core of the debate, and we are all trying to learn from each other.